I have spent countless hours fine-tuning and refining my iPhone setup to get the most out of it, and despite making a ton of iOS and Apple-related videos, I've never made a What's on my iPhone video. Until today. This is what's on my iPhone 15 Pro Max in 2024. Now jumping straight in, I set out to create a productivity system using focus modes to automate a light mode and dark mode setup because for whatever reason I find that when I'm using light mode, I'm more productive within my creative work. During the daylight hours, my phone automatically switches to this light colored wallpaper setup and most of my app appearances do the same. In the evening, it switches over to this darker themed wallpaper to signal me it's time to wrap up my work, which has helped to create some separation and regain a little bit of work-life balance. The wallpapers themselves are actually a part of my first drop of 2024, which is a pack that includes 10 wallpapers going along with this light and dark mode theme, so if you want to check them out for yourselves, I'll have them linked in the description below. Now for the rest of the lock screen, I'm using this F1 themed widget that shows you localized session times based on wherever you are in the world, as well as the track layout for the next race. More on this app later though. I'm also using some pretty simple weather widgets to get my local forecast at a glance, and my Apple Fitness rings, which I'm actually pretty close to closing today. Oh, and for the action button, I currently have it set up to launch the camera app in video mode since I can capture moments super quick as soon as they happen, but in the future I want to set up some home automation using this button, so this will likely change over time. Now for the accessories, I'm currently rocking the Illumu A15 vegan leather case in either the white or black variation, depending on what vibe I'm going for that day. Illumu has pretty consistently been a hidden gem for iPhone accessories in my opinion, and even though I've been using their products for months now, they were kind enough to sponsor this section of the video. They sent out a few of their new products, including this super futuristic looking AirPods case called the A09 geometric case. It's got a nice clip to keep it closed even if you drop your AirPods, and even has small magnets under the lid for that extra layer of security. They also sent out a couple versions of their G03 MagSafe wallet with these sort of carbon fiber and leather finishes. The wallet is basically a fully thought out multi-tool and has room for up to 12 cards, a kickstand, optional AirTag attachment accessory, and a bottle opener, which I love having this on there. Last but certainly not least, I have their M01 folding charger, and this has gone with me on every trip that I've taken since I got it. It's super thin and lightweight when folded up, but once open, it can actually charge an iPhone, Apple Watch, AirPods, and still has an open USB-C port for one additional accessory. Now let's dive into the actual apps that I'm using, and obviously front and center, you can see the top widget is set to Notion Calendar. The reason that I really love this widget is because you get the full month calendar view that shows you actually the day that you're on, and then next to that you'll see events that you have for either that day or the following day. You can also just tap the plus sign in the bottom corner of it to open up for a new appointment, which I find to be extremely convenient. And even though I've just started using Notion Calendar, it's pretty quickly replaced Apple Calendar for me, and I'm using it to schedule just about everything I do now. Underneath that, I have a simple home widget that I can use to turn the lamp on and off that I have in my living room. Next up under that, I obviously have the YouTube widget. I like this because if I need to search for a video, I can instantly do that. You'll see a lot of the Apple Vision Pro videos just because today is technically the launch day for that, and I'm getting mine in just a few days. Full day in the life with the Apple Vision Pro should be next week actually. Back to the home screen, we have the camera app, which is a pretty obvious choice since I'm using it constantly to capture my content. I use ProRes RAW a lot when I'm actually making my videos, and just recently I actually started shooting some spatial video as well since I'm getting the Apple Vision Pro, and I'm really curious to see what that pans out to in the future. Next up, I have Notion, which I talked about in a previous video, but I have switched almost everything over to Notion this year. You can see these are all the things that I've posted so far this year. I'm liking it a lot better than Apple Notes, which is what I was using for all of my scripting and everything like that last year, so definitely dedicated Notion video coming soon. Of course, Instagram has to make it to the home screen. It's one of my favorite apps to use actually, especially for socials. I'm just about to 50,000 followers on Instagram, so if you're not following me there already, I would love for you to do that because I'm using it a lot and I have a lot of fun using this app. All right, so next up, of course, is the YouTube Studio app, which is kind of a bit of a hub for everything that I do. I find that I look at this app way too often. I would like to look at it a little bit less actually, but I love being able to come in here and respond to comments so we can kind of see interesting takes on the Apple Vision Pro. This will turn us all into zombies. Yeah, I like coming in here and just throwing out some responses. It's a lot of fun. Of course, after that, we have the TikTok app. This is my largest platform in terms of audience. While it's not necessarily my favorite app these days, I do still post frequently on there. If you use TikTok and like TikTok, follow me over there. Next is an interesting one, I think. It's Threads. I've been loving Threads ever since I downloaded it. There's currently no ads actually on Threads. I believe they're up to like 130 million monthly users now, so I do tend to post a lot about my upcoming videos and kind of a behind the scenes look into the things that I'm doing or why I'm making what I'm making. So of course we also have the Photos app right on the lock screen. Pretty self-explanatory. It's nice to be able to go through, look at memories. This is your boy Sedlom and his broken lens from CES. So rest in peace, yet another piece of glass from this guy. I have this giant clock widget. It's a little bit redundant since you have the clock up at the top of the screen, but what I like about it is I can just instantly tap into it and have access to my alarm. Hidden behind that is a Pomodoro timer from an app called Focus Pomo, and I find myself getting distracted a lot less when I'm using that, so that's definitely a plus. And under that, obviously the fitness rings. A much bigger goal for me for February forward in the year is to close these fitness rings pretty much every single day, which I've been bad at lately, but I'm trying to get back on that fitness grind. And then last on the lock screen is a very special weather app called Not Boring Weather. It's one of my favorite apps that I use on my phone, period, because the design of it is just so much fun. It just has this like really minimal but striking design, and you can kind of play around with the UI elements, which is really cool. I haven't really seen a weather app with this much character in a long time, and I'm a really big fan of this one. And obviously the iPhone dock is a huge part of everyone's iPhone setup. So down at the bottom of mine, I have a web browser called Arc browser, which I will talk about in just a second. Gmail, that's where I do all of my emails for my business. And then Spotify. I am a Spotify guy over Apple Music. I tend to like the user interface a little bit better. I like the recommendations for music better. I do wish that they had lossless audio, and I'm a little bit bummed that they're not going to be on the Apple Vision Pro at launch. And then of course, Messages, pretty self-explanatory. It's one of my most used apps, so I have it down really easy to touch with my thumb. But when it comes to the browser, Arc browser is really exciting. So I've been using this lately. It has this really fun user interface where when you have your tabs, they actually open up almost like the app switcher at the bottom of the iPhone. You can do this really fascinating thing where if you wanted to search for something, so let's say Apple Vision Pro, you can hit this Browse for Me button. And what it's gonna do is populate a giant document almost on this page where you have photos up at the top here. But then as you start going down, you'll notice that it's using some sort of AI or something like that to create a summary of whatever it is that you search for. So you have a description, you have a price, release date, features, review. Look at this, like this is sick. If you want a really fun new experience to try out on your phone, try the Arc browser. This is not sponsored by them. Literally, I am just so in love with this app. And then of course, if you swipe over, you'll see the widget page here. So all that I have is just some world clocks up at the top. I have my battery information here for all of my devices. I have my Spotify playlist that was most recently open. And then I have the screen time. As you can see here, my most used app is X. So it's not on my lock screen, it's not on my home screen because I don't want to be tempted to use it very much. Screen time right at the bottom of the page here is nice. It's good for me to be able to swipe over and be like, all right, I've been using this app too long today. Let's switch things up. If you swipe over to my second page, right at the top of the screen is one of my favorite apps, and it's Box Club. So up here you can see this is a widget that displays the next Formula One race. It has a track layout. Opening up the app, you'll notice that they have this really beautiful user interface. They have a ton of news that they post. If you're a Formula One fan and you're not using Box Club already, you should be. They are not sponsoring this video, but I do have a promo code that you can use if you want to save 30% off of their Max subscription, which is will30, or you could use the link that's down in the description below. Also, can we talk about how insane the news is about Lewis switching to Ferrari in 2025? That is crazy. And then next up, I have the NBA app. So I actually really got back into watching basketball this year. I haven't done it for a few years. I'm a Lakers fan. I would love to see LeBron get one more ring, although it's kind of touch and go this year. So don't know if that's going to happen, but I've been really enjoying just watching across the league. Now to go into a couple of the major tools that I'm using as a pro workflow for my phone, I use Lightroom a lot. So this is just a photo that I took today of my desk, and you can see the original versus the edit that I posted. Really nice to be able to have so much power built into this phone where I can easily take a photo, take it in ProRAW, throw it in here, and then put together an edit that just looks really good for social. And then I have been using CapCut a little bit more lately, just editing quick hit videos on my phone. I think that when I travel more this year, I'll probably just shoot more quick videos on my phone and then throw them into CapCut to do some editing, because CapCut is a really good offering and it seems pretty powerful for just a mobile app. The next tool that I'm using pretty regularly is Gumroad, which is basically a platform where you can sell digital goods. neighborhoods. And yeah, wallpapers are gonna be a really big thing for me this year just because they're fun to make. And if you like phone wallpapers and would like to support me directly, this is a great way to do that. The Maps app is pretty self-explanatory. I find that I mostly use it to just check if businesses are open, especially if you live in a big city. I think Apple Maps, the user interface, just the overall feel of it is far superior to Google. That's just my take. The Focus Pomo app that I was talking about earlier is really fun. So every time you complete a Pomodoro timer, you get this fun little tomato thing. They have gravity, so you can kind of shake it and move them around the screen. And yeah, it's a good time. I've just started using this again this week, but I will be using this pretty much every day going forward from here. Next up, we have Discord, which is a really good app for community building. And I am actually working on a community Discord server. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And then the last, of course, is the Books app. So I do like reading a lot. I've been kind of bad about it this year, but some of the ones that I've really enjoyed reading lately are Creativity Inc. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is a really, really great book. And then I don't really play games very often, but the homie Said put me onto this game called Balls, and I'm kind of mad at him for doing it because it's just so addicting. I'm a little mad at him for showing it to me, but my high score on here is 198. So if you play Balls and you have a higher score than that, let me know. So I think that pretty much covers the gist of it, but if you've made it this far into the video, leave a comment below of your favorite hidden gem app that you use every day, and I'll make sure to reply to every single one of you. I have an insane next few weeks coming up with all of my Apple Vision Pro content, as well as a massive studio/room makeover project, so if you aren't subscribed already, consider it, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one, take care.